And now, back to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.
Hello and welcome to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. I'm Dylan Weaver.
And I'm Andrew Sabo.
And folks, we're here to talk about episode 444C of Adventures in Odyssey. It's called Bethany's Flood.
Bethany's Flood.
Now this episode has a story. I promised last episode that we would be getting into this, and we just got it right off the top. So this episode, written by Jim Ware, directed by Phil Lawler, but it originally aired May 17th of 2001. And we talked about last week The Bad Guy, which is 444B, and that aired April 29th of 2000. So why did the second part of an episode air a year later? Well, Andrew, I'm glad you asked.
What does the official guide say?
So the Bethany's Flood was originally held back from broadcast because they felt like it was too silly to be too silly and like a weird version of a Bible story, and so they fully produced the episode.
There were content concerns
and did not air it. However, then they pulled career moves.
Better episode.
Once again, for reasons that are unclear, but they pulled career moves from the album release.
All right.
Which meant that which they also pulled a couple of the other episodes we talked about from the album release. The one where Bart is mean to people and that other one.
The Don't Move Here one. That one.
Yeah, but there's also another one, right? There was three unreleased episodes we covered.
Bart Don't Move Here. There was Bart mentoring Nathaniel.
Yep, and there was one
Palace.
Earlier than that.
Yeah.
The Bethany Cat one.
Yes.
Or not? Yeah. Sorry, not Bethany Cat. The
Sunset Boulevard?
No, it's Mandy's cat. When Mandy's cat gets thrown in the lake.
Yes.
That episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How could I forget when it's super pitched up?
Look forward to Split Episode Roundup coming soon to an
podcast platform near you.
Yeah,
a PP, if you will.
No, I won't.
I won't.
And so anyways, so when they pulled, for whatever reason, decided they weren't going to put career moves on the album like they had done previously. Like, this is a precedented move of like, hey, we aired this once, it didn't go over well, we don't want to air it again, we're not going to put it on the album. But they then had a hole in the album where they only had half an episode with the bad guy.
Yeah. And
rather than pull the bad guy additionally, they decided to put Bethany's Flood on the album. So it was the first time that an episode of the show came out on an album before it aired on the radio. Now, this will later happen with Kidsborough, which we already talked about. But this was the first instance where it's like, it hit the album first. And now they do it all the time with the club, basically.
Yeah, that's what the club is.
Right, exactly. But like at the time, this was a weird move. So it came out on the album, 6 months after it didn't air, but after the bad guy aired. And then 6 months after that, it aired on the radio.
Interesting.
With the bad guy.
Man, it's a shame it's not a better episode for all of its like exposure and everything and the way, like, all the attention that's been paid to it.
The other thing, though, that's interesting here is there was another episode fully recorded and produced that would have been the other half to Bethany's Flood. It has never been released.
I want it. I want it now. I need it. Somebody. It was fully produced. It's got to be somewhere.
In Oh, it for sure. Someone
Hoobler.
has it, and why isn't it on the club is my question.
I want to
But,
pay
like,
money. I want to pay money to hear this. Your website doesn't even work, and I'm willing to put up with that to pay you money to hear this. Why won't you do it?
And so what's interesting is in 2000 when these episodes are airing, they had the website at that point, and they would put up upcoming episodes as they were being produced on the website with like a little description. So we actually know what this episode was about.
Interesting.
Even though it was never released.
Do we have that written down? Do we have access to read? Okay.
Yeah. So the episode was called The Hoax is on You. And it was about discernment in internet use.
Oh, I like that. Nathaniel gets fished by a Nigerian prince, presumably.
Yes,
type
that
situation.
seems to be it.
Or maybe Bart. I would love to see Bart.
Yeah. And
Maybe Harlow.
yeah. So right, it's this interesting thing. It's weird. So the weird piece here is the official reason for dropping career moves is that they had an extra 10-minute episode that didn't fit. So they had to drop something. But the official reason for releasing Bethany's Flood is we had an extra, like we had to fill a 10-minute slot. So we released this one that we hadn't.
We had too much, so we got rid of one, and then we had too little, so we had to add one. It makes perfect sense to me.
And
I don't know why you're laughing.
I enjoy Bethany's Flood a lot.
Yeah.
I think more than this is like a famously bad episode of Odyssey. It has a 59% on the wiki with 55 votes. It
Wow.
is not well regarded.
Wow.
Whereas I think it is totally fine, but I think it's funny that Career Moves was dropped in favor of this when it's like Career Moves feels more like regular Odyssey.
Career Moves feels way more like regular Odyssey, and it was written by, like, smart people that work well with the show. Who's
Marshall Younger did Career Moves.
Yeah,
And
and this
Bethany's
is Jim
Flood
Ware.
is Jim Ware. Which Jim's got, Odyssey track record during this time, but is not the same. So it's just like a weird thing where it's like, okay. And then they kept The Hoax is on You on the shelf. So
because, of course.
So there are
Still
3 episodes of Odyssey from this era that aired once. And then there's also a fully produced episode that never aired.
Wow. This is my favorite era of the show to cover, in all honesty, just because it is so bonkers.
Yeah, no, I love the chaos of it. I mean, that's part of the reason we decided to do this.
Yeah.
And and you have the freaking Two Roads Twilight Zone right here in the middle of all this.
Wait, time to be alive.
Yeah. Anyways, so that's the background to Bethany's Flood, which I think will be the more interesting part of this episode, because there's not a ton to talk about with Bethany's Flood itself.
No, yeah. I mean, basically the gist of it is Bethany, well, I would like to talk about the complexities of homeschooling as it relates to Bethany and Aubrey talking with their mom. There's a giant rainstorm. Dad runs out because the bathtub's flooded. What? I missed what the problem was. I know that
There's not
flooding.
a rainstorm, I don't think.
No, yeah, it's raining.
Is it raining?
Yeah, because remember at the end, like when Bethany wakes up, Connie's like, yeah, it's not even raining anymore.
Okay.
There's a rainbow.
Oh, right. Yes. Okay. So, right. It's raining. The sewer gets backed up or whatever. Or not the sewer. I guess it's the water gets backed up.
Yeah.
And there's water like flooding into their bathtub.
Yeah,
so
it's coming out. And so Dad goes out to get the wet dry vac.
Ben. But yeah.
Ben.
So shop vac, which is typically what those things are called.
Yeah, no, that's what I always grew up calling them.
That is a trademarked name.
Oh, it's a duct tape situation.
Correct.
All right.
So for whatever which not that Odyssey couldn't have used a trademarked name, they for sure do at other points, but that is the reason it was dodged here.
And it's a wet
and they
dry
say
vac.
wet dry vac.
Well, I mean, it does convey what it does.
Right, exactly. It's, it's a
sucks up
vacuum,
water.
right? It's a vacuum kind of more or less without a filter.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what if we just, like, moved things from one place and put them in another
What if we
through the power of air?
had Kirby? What if we could Kirby things?
Wow, that's what they should have said rather than a wet dry vac. They should have just been like, I gotta go grab the Kirby.
I gotta go grab our Kirby.
I think like, you know how people call vacuums Hoovers?
Yeah.
I think we should make a move to call shop vacs Kirby's. Also, now I
do
want like a
that.
pink shop vac.
So bad. I've got a red one that you could definitely duct tape pink for sure.
Is that duct tape or duct tape?
Because
one's trademark.
Duct, my friend.
Good save, Andrew. We didn't want the duct tape people to come for us.
Big duct tape, notoriously ruthless. Get you
So
real sticky situations.
I hate you.
I know. I hate myself too.
So Bethany is learning about Columbus's ships, which are, Andrew, do you know them off the top of your head?
Nina Pinta and the Santa Maria.
Very well done.
Columbus.
What year did he sail?
1492. I have said 1942 several times in the past. Yeah, 1492.
That's the year that the U.S. entered World War II. That's
Yep, another very important year, but completely different.
Oh man.
Also, boats involved. Different boats.
But yeah, I will point out that as this episode airs of ours, yesterday was Columbus Day.
Oh yeah, and a big rainstorm.
We don't know that. What?
Oh, yesterday we got hit with the remnants of Hurricane Ian. That was what I was thinking about.
Was yesterday Columbus Day, Andrew?
No, yesterday was not Columbus
Yesterday, as this episode airs,
Day.
is Columbus Day.
Oh!
So if you're trying to predict the future and say that it rained on Columbus Day and not on the day prior to when we're recording this...
True. Excellent point you have made here. I think it will rain on Columbus Day.
Yeah.
My breasts are telling me there's a 65% chance it's already raining.
Also, we've said Columbus Day a bunch now, but Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yeah,
Let's put some respect on this holiday again.
Yeah, no. Not a fan of Columbus.
No.
As much as I was forced to learn about him, not a good dude.
Yeah.
Wealthy though. Definitely wealthy.
Yeah. So yeah.
So Bethany finishes her schoolwork.
Right.
and
She's
Mom
learning about
sends
that.
her-
Aubrey is
Yes.
learning about she's writing a report on
a book that she has to read.
no, but it's Thomas Jefferson.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's gonna come into play later.
In the dream sequence.
Which is this album, In Your Wildest Dreams.
Love that. That's why everybody loved this episode. They got the bit.
And so, yeah. So this is... Well, okay. So she goes to...
the chapel at the Timothy Center where Connie is reading Bible stories to afternoon campers because it's like this big, rainstorm. Everybody's cooped up inside. And then, and so Bethany then heads over and she comes in and there's this like very interesting audio distortion where she's going from, conversation sonics, I guess is the word for it, with her parents and with Aubrey to like almost like an imagination station type transition. Like it felt a lot like the doodle-doo-doo-doo in Arthur when he would fall asleep and like the screen goes all wavy.
Yes. Yeah. No, for sure.
So that was my track of that, and then we get just an absolutely absurd telling of the story of Noah that is narrated by Connie, where she drifts in and out as she's reading the Bible. but then saying other things as well, and then giving the scripture reference, and then saying revised or abridged or something.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, sonically, I think it must have been really fun to make. I think the jokes and everything like that, like, I feel like this was a great example of an episode that was super fun to make, but was not fun to listen to, and they heard from it. Like, I feel like Odyssey, the ones that they really get to play around with the sound, people sometimes like more than others, but,
yeah, I don't know. This feels like an episode that people don't like in the same way like they don't like, Twilight Zone or whatever.
Yeah,
Whereas
exactly.
I'm totally here for this weird, absurdist, like, doesn't feel like Odyssey, but is still, like, fun and inventive.
No, yeah, no, I still enjoyed it, and, like, for a split episode, it's fun, it's kind of nothing, but it's also just enough, and
Yeah.
it definitely beats home the theme that it's trying to get across, so, like, I think it does all the things that an Odyssey episode should do.
I think what's really interesting is, so there are 3 instances that Odyssey does the story of Noah. Mm-hmm. And we've covered 2 of them now.
Yeah.
One is the Black Clouds episode when Joanne and Connie are on the road trip to DC.
Yep.
And they do the story of Noah for, like, the girl who's in the diner or whatever that situation is.
The girl runs away, and there's this huge storm, and they tell about Noah and God delivering people and stuff.
Right. And then we also have this episode wherein Connie is telling this story to a bunch of kids. And then the first time that the story is told is the episode By Faith Noah, which is a really early episode.
Yeah, that's on Fundamentals, right?
It is on Fundamentals.
Yeah.
And that is Whit telling the story.
Yep, that's the one I've heard the most, because Fundamentals was an album I owned.
That's him telling it to Jack and Lucy.
Yep.
But I think it's really interesting, and truly just interesting, because I don't have, like, a greater thought here, but the 3 times that, like, Odyssey has done the story of Noah 3 times. All 3 times it is adult telling story to kid. It is not a kid's radio production, nor is it Imagination Station. And it's just, like, struck me as, like, funny and kind of odd.
Yeah, especially because Noah, you would think, is such a classic Bible story that would translate so well to an Imagination Station adventure, where you're like, wow, I get the scope of how big the ark was and how really long it took for Noah to really toil and make this, because I got to, play alongside him while this was happening. Like, you would think that it would translate well.
And the first episode, off Fundamentals, is prior to the Imagination Station existing.
True.
So it makes sense
for that
there that they didn't do that. But I think it's interesting that they have gone back to this story since, but not done that. And I also think it's interesting that the DNA shared by this episode and Black Clouds of Connie telling the story to a kid who is in a storm.
Yeah, narrating
is
over
just
time.
like,
yeah, it's kind of funny. And especially because those episodes weren't written that far from each other.
No, they're like
5 years?
I mean, I don't even think it's that, but they are. I mean, they're like 100 episodes apart or so.
Yeah,
which is a chunk of time, but in the scheme of Odyssey, is surprisingly close together. Considering they waited 400 episodes from the first one to this one
to do it again,
to then do 100 to get there, and then it's been 400 since, and they haven't done Noah again.
Bring Noah back.
And I should mention, like, I think that there's, like, some, like, minor Noah, like, bits in, like, a BTV or something.
Yeah.
But, like, as far as, like, we're doing an episode on Noah.
Yeah.
And this is loosely an episode on Noah, which is maybe why they felt the license to do it again so soon.
Because it's not really telling the story.
Like, it wouldn't... You're not going to listen to this as a kid and feel like you understand the story of Noah.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's... I don't know, it's fun. Like, it...
No, yeah. And the all the bits about Californians being terrible is really funny, especially because I was gonna ask, were they recording in Salami Studios at this time?
It doesn't say on the wiki, which is like the only real source I've been able to find on that stuff. I don't know, but that doesn't mean that it's not a
The point is, it wouldn't be terribly unlikely for the actors that are saying this to be
Correct.
recording in California.
Oh yeah. But like also, whatever.
Talking about their state falling into the ocean.
Yeah, it's fun. And so yeah, there's just some good bits throughout this thing of like Bethany's mind like kind of putting stuff together and then being like, oh no, like where she's like, wait, I thought that, where she talks about like the VAC being the big ship, and she's like, wait, I thought that was an Ark, and it's like Ark, VAC, it's the same thing.
Same thing.
Like I love the like rational brain doesn't like, it isn't playing a part, both because like she's a kid with an imagination, and this is like, I can't tell if this is daydream. I assume it's daydream more than it's dream.
Yeah,
but
dream.
I just like the way it kind of runs away with itself, and it's like doing this combination of Bethany's schoolwork on Columbus, Aubrey's schoolwork on Jefferson. It weirdly has some Shakespeare in there, which I couldn't quite find the origin for. And then Ben and the flooding bathtub, Connie telling Noah, and like it all just intertwines in a really fun way that I feel like trying to recount won't do it justice and won't be fun.
No, exactly.
Like, go listen to the episode if you're curious what that looks like.
Yeah.
But it's just a kid mushing all of these stories together.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it is really chaotic to like, it's not something you could really go beat by beat for without explaining every single joke.
Right, exactly. It's just a series of like disconnected thoughts. Honestly,
this podcast.
Well, but I'm just like, it is very, very well done from like I kind of can't believe that they managed to create an episode that is so abstract and works.
No, for sure.
Like it feels kind of like a fever dream or like a deluge. It's just like
exactly
one thing,
like a fever dream.
One thing follows the other. Have you ever seen Inherent Vice?
No, but I've watched YouTube videos of people talking about it. Vaguely familiar with it.
That's worse than had you just stopped at no.
No, I haven't.
Well, Andrew, we'll watch Inherent Vice sometime
on the paid channel.
No, in November in my barn.
Okay.
It's on the schedule. But yeah, anyways, Inherent Vice has a similar I don't want to give stuff away about Inherent Vice, but just
I'm gonna watch it.
But just kind of the like, this is very much flowing like point to point without, and like when you zoom out, you're like, wait, huh? Is like, it's fun. Mm-hmm. I like this episode. Go watch Inherent Vice, I guess. But like, I mean, great movie, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to really say.
Oh, I would definitely just say the end of it.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Because Noah trusted God and obeyed Him despite everything bad happening. That's she gets out.
You're saying the Chris bit?
No. She recounts that to her mom because basically she wakes up. The rain's over. There's a rainbow. She comes outside.
I would say she zones in.
She zones in.
I think she was already awake.
Mm-hmm.
That's my theory, is that she was just zoning. She was doing some daydreaming.
Well,
very
small dissociation. Yeah. And then Connie's like, hey, everybody's gone. Like, stopped raining. Don't you want to go outside and see the rainbow? And she's like, oh my goodness, what? And then her mom comes to pick her up, and she explains everything that happens, and Mom's like, wow, I've never quite heard the story of Noah told that way.
Uh-huh.
Which is a good little funny bit.
Mm-hmm.
But, the crux of the chaos in her mirage, I will say, was everybody was thinking that the ark was going to go down, and she said, God will keep us safe, we just have to pray.
Yep.
So she gets everybody together, Hamlet and Thomas Jefferson, and they all pray for God to save them, and then they do.
Yeah.
And Mom's like, you got the point, but
right. But you missed it.
You missed everything else.
Yeah, and there's a funny bit where she's like, wow, I don't think I've ever heard the story told that way. And Connie's like, me either, and I just told it.
Yeah.
And then Chris basically goes out and is like, now here's where you read the story if you want to understand it for real.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's fun.
I do think it's fun. It's real weird. It does feel very different from other episodes of Odyssey in the fact that it just kind of drags the listener along in this kind of sonic chaos where there's so many things happening and it's supposed to be intentionally disorganized.
Sure. Yeah, it is. Right, it's such an odd episode of Odyssey, which is why I like it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We'll see where it ranks in the end of it. I mean, it didn't make me want a cigarette, so it's definitely got that on the last one.
Yeah, I guess anything you want to plug here, Andrew, or final thoughts? I don't know where you're at right now, but
shop vacs for sure. My house used to
Andrew, they're Kirby's.
I'm sorry, Kirby's. Get your Kirby today. I had to Kirby my basement a lot growing up because we live on top of a spring and our foundation is cracked. And so whenever it rains a lot, the spring just likes to come up and say hi in the basement. So me and Kirby go way, way back. So I'm gonna plug Kirby.
I love
no more sucking for Kirby. They're plugged.
That's good. I would like to plug a couple things here real quick, which is one, this being a tale about doing all the Noah stuff, but from a distance and whatnot. Yeah. I really I've got to plug Moonrise Kingdom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, fair. I didn't know that. Is that a Noah allegory?
There is so much Noah in that movie.
I've never watched it from that perspective. That's crazy. I've only seen it the once.
It's not even... I don't even know if that's a perspective. It's literal text of part of the movie. Is there are kids putting on a play of Noah's flood.
Oh yeah. But how much does the overall?
I don't think that there's a lot of allegory.
Oh!
I said flood imagery.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I don't think that movie is an allegory about the flood.
That was what I thought you were suggesting.
But it centers around a lot of flood stuff, and Noah's flood is this big.
And Moonrise Kingdom is great,
and it's such a good movie. So go watch Moonrise Kingdom. Additionally,
bring your Kirby with.
Just to vac up all those tears.
Mm-hmm. Gotta go somewhere.
And then the other thing I want to plug is our friends over at Adventures in Ideology. Recently came back for their 4th season of their show.
Hey.
And the first episode they covered was for this 4th season is By Faith Noah.
Oh, really?
So if you want to go hear someone talk about the first time Odyssey took on the story of Noah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go listen to that. For sure.
Those folks have a really good episode on it that I enjoyed listening to, and I like them. And
they're such nice people. They got great voices.
Mm-hmm.
Nice to listen to.
Yeah. And then lastly, we do have a review.
Oh, crap!
It's a 5-star review from Jessica Emily. Titled "Y'all Are the Best."
Aw, you're the best, Jessica or Emily.
Oh, it's just Jessa.
Oh, Jessa.
I spoke wrong.
Jessa Emily.
So, but the body of it says, "How are you guys so on point with everything?" Hashtag not my wit. Hashtag Phil is toxic. Hashtag wit isn't God. So,
another has been added to the troops, General. We march at dawn.
Oh, man.
We will stop at nothing. We will climb to the top of the slide in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and we will burn it to the ground.
I'm not I don't endorse violence.
No, me neither. Famously, but
But, you know.
I'll lead a revolution or two.
What if we just flood it?
Technically, that's on God, then. There's a spring somewhere.
Oh, man.
We just gotta sneak it underneath their place and then let it fill up.
Colorado Springs. Well done.
Thank you.
Good work. Good work, Andrew. All right. And with all that being said, we're going to be back next week for episode 446A, A Matter of Manners.
Manners. Bye.
Bye.
Wad Fam Chalk Pod is a presentation of the Lidditz Podcast Co-op. This show is a fan podcast and has no official affiliation with Adventures in Odyssey or Focus on the Family. As such, the copyright is ours under Creative Commons. Follow the podcast at wadfamchalkpod on Twitter and Instagram, or email us at wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com. Bethany's Flood is hosted by Dylan Weaver and Andrew Acebo, and edited by Dylan Weaver. And I'm Nathan Haverstick, hoping you'll join us again next time for more of the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.